Over to you, my friend.
Hey everyone, and thanks for joining all the participants and all of you that will watch this. Lee is recording it and we'll keep it in the contributors group, and that is what this is. So a representative and contributors group meeting. Having said this, I propose to have another around the same time in about 2 weeks' time, if that feels good with everyone. And with that, also, I say that we probably will be having one consecutively every 2 weeks thereafter, and possibly a week in between, if or at the time that things become more exciting, because of course the information will become more and more, and to share and release it in a timely manner, we may need to do that, which will be great. So what I wish to say starting off is, yes, GPMS is taking longer than anticipated. However, I remain adamant with saying it is instant and imminent. Hey, Lodi. So having said that, when you look at what we're actually doing, transitioning all of society and all of humanity, and where it's taking, let's say, about 2 years, that is just a blink of an eye anyway, and it's instant. But however, as I said in the beginning, I'd anticipated it would only take a couple months to do it. And all of us as co-creators, we have to keep our consciousness oriented to that degree that it will happen quickly. And we also energize it to happen more quickly. So we have our focus aligned with that to bring it to fruition much more quicker. Having said this, over the course of time, I know that many of you, if perhaps not all, can attest to certain degrees of censorship by the opposition, which we know. So that, has been a problem. But again, the solutions to this in circumventing the censorship is one way, with your emails, get another email set up, get a friend to email, keep changing what I suggest if you need to, your emails. And also, for example, on Facebook Messenger, it became eerily quiet. So what I know is that there's interception on there, and blockage of messages. However, having said this, we always persevere and prevail. So again, to circumvent is the word of mouth, and also we're divinely assisted as we go forward, that the ones we need to come into contact with, we do. And again, what is so important with the forward movement of GPMS is collecting the base of the light leaders, the guardians, all of you, all of us. So we need to extend that base outward. So that is part of the process as well. And another thing is the rate of creation of GPMS is directly connected to the rate of implosion on the old, meaning that with GPMS, we can only go so far until more of the old implodes. So it is proportionate to a degree. However, having said this, we know the old paradigm is just all set up for rapid implosion with all the lies and all of that. So we know, again, it's inevitable for the creation. However, within the old is many of the people that need to become part of the new. And that is the way, as we know, it's being done, and it's transitioning humanity forward. Having said this, the governments cannot play any role whatsoever in this, and the governments are the actual evil and puppets of the evil. And as we know, their intentions is not aligned for humanity. And having said that, there is no affiliation with any politicians or any governments. That's not what this is, as we all know. And with that, I will just stop there, I believe, and someone may suggest where we go with the discussion from here. Perhaps some updates. Anyone wish to speak?
Pin, drop. Again, I do love the way that happens.
Well, Lee, we can share, we've been, let's share a little bit. We've been having a few meetings and making a few contacts. You wish to?
Well, yeah, but they're tenuous. I mean, I love the meeting we had yesterday, Yvonne and Renata, about the indigenous, and then about the South Americans as well, and the nations, and bringing them together. And the way the meeting went was, it became very, very evident that the leaders need to, I use the wrong words, the leaders will inevitably take a leap of faith or trust into a new system, into GPMS, or into a new way for those nations. So we were talking to how to facilitate that. Let's say that's a good way of putting it. And then in the conversation afterwards, when we were speaking with Martin last night, the trucker convoy guy from Canada, with Beatrice and Richard, this indigenous correlation unity came up again, whereby it was brought up that there's a lot of oppression, segregation, separation in these communities, and they don't trust. There's a lot of lack of trust. We've had this before, brother, where we've looked to this trust and that leap of faith. This is becoming evident in the conversation, let's say, in the conscious conversation of co-creators, to bring this unity and how we do it. So very, very interesting moving those forward. Again, with a lot of this, it's sideways. The information is coming in. There's where we may anticipate, but it comes in at the side, and okay, what do we do with this? And I love that is the lateral thinking, or the creational thinking, exactly what you were talking about with the censorship and moving past that, and in whatever way you feel. This is seeing that as a pebble in the flow and working around it. So these things are moving forward. We're seeing a huge implosion in the fake narratives, which is causing separation again, which I love, because chaos brings change. So these ideas of the false narratives falling and that implosion, in experience, have uplifted GPMS and uplifted the movement forward. They are related, but GPMS causes an implosion, and the implosion causes an upliftment, and these things have been ongoing. So we've been watching this happening. Point me in another direction, brother. Point me to another meeting that we can discuss. I'm only on yesterday. It's all what's sat in me at the moment.
What I wish to add, when we started GPMS, we knew, let's say, that there were false prophets, false narratives, and controlled opposition out there. And one thing that I stated, and it was on our website in the beginning, that there would come a time, let's say, that these false ones also would be revealed. And I took it upon myself that I would be one to publicly show the false ones if needed. And having said this, the way that it's done is that GPMS, if you will, is presented to a leader. Now, we have some very intelligent leaders out there, and if they cannot recognize the simplicity of GPMS and the divine tool instrument that it is, and if they do not share it with their people, and so then it becomes very obvious that it's not a consciousness thing, that they are part of the controlled opposition. So having said that, without saying any names yet, we have given GPMS to a few prominent ones. And with that, they didn't take it. And it became very obvious that they had an underlying agenda that was beyond their ego. And also with this, we see, let's take the World Freedom Alliance, if you will.
Without saying any names.
Pardon?
Without saying any names, let's take the word.
Well, I did know.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah. But again, with all of these movements, it's not the leaders. There's only a few leaders that, yes, may be controlled, but it's all the genuine people that are following them. And with any of these false movements, it's only a matter of time before they self-destruct and everything is revealed. And having said this, I will mention the name now. With Monica, Lee and I had a great meeting with her, and we took our time to go into more detail with GPMS. And, I had anticipated she would run with it and see it, because there was a moment when she could see it, but nothing. And what you see, what I wish to share with all, is the reason I say about the politicians and anyone that is fighting the old. They are still part of that old system to keep the fight alive, to keep ones distracted. It's the same old political games, as we know. But having said this, the World Freedom Alliance, to my knowledge, is beginning to be disheveled and taken down with the false narratives, as well as one of the most prominent Jassara Nassara QFS false narratives as well. As we know, nothing can compete with the intrinsic value of what we all are. And going forward divinely, and I'm speaking this from the divine place, there is no longer going to be the feudal society upon the planet in that control with all of the different classes. So there has to be that parity, and nothing else will do. And if we look at Jassara, Nassara, and these sort of things, that is not equality at all, and it will not go forward, and it will not work.
Well, we've seen it with Team Thailand. We've seen it with half of that moving towards Jassara Nizara. We've seen it with all of the ones that we speak to, always introduce Jassara Nizara as a, why is GPMS? Why not this? The World Freedom is aligned to a Jassara Nizara movement. All of these are breaking down as people leave. So what we talk to here is the leadership isn't the ones anticipatory. If we all looked at it normally, we'd say, talk to the leader gives it to the followers. Everything here is inverted. We talk to the followers. And this is what we've noticed. The followers is the wrong word. The rank and file, the people involved, the other ones that do see it, they're the ones that take away the leadership. So we don't need to. And this is what we've recognized too. So these ones that come in that don't get it, even the ones that we will spend a couple of hours with, okay, we know that they're going to get shaken and rattled, and that their fellowship and whatever else they think they are, their egos, are going to fall. And what we're seeing now is that happening in real time. It might not be everywhere, but if you look, it is everywhere. And it's fascinating from that level. It's fascinating to watch the dynamics of it all. But like Rick said a bit earlier, we maybe didn't anticipate this at the beginning, but divinely that's the case. And that tests patience, faith, and all of these things have been compounded or cemented in the ones that have just seen it and moved forward with it. The others, they'll come back. So it's just an alignment phase, and it's limbo again a little bit, but getting more directed again. We're just coming back into what it feels to me to be another upward shift, which obviously involves a downward implosion. So these two things are happening at once. We'll see. How does everybody else feel about what it is that we're saying right now, guys? How are you seeing it transpiring in your peripherals, if you will?
Well, I totally resonate with what you are saying. And in fact, I was having a conversation with Rick the other day, and we were talking that the feeling that I had towards the influencer that you're talking about, which I've contacted a few, and at the moment is like, you know, they're not resonating. And I was saying that I have the feeling that GPMS, it's the people first, and then after the influencers are going to come in because they will have no other, and because also we're upgrading everyone. But I was also talking with Rick that we were feeling, or at least I, by those influencers that we do know, that even their way of communicating to others, what they were with before, like Nizara Jazara, and this, it's starting to change. Now, you know, they're even going more in a more spiritual way, and they're starting to feel that this is probably, so even their own frequency is changing, you know? So I think in a not a long future, a very near future, it's going to be much more easier to access to these people because their frequency, and I feel it when I talk to them, which I've talked with a few, has completely changed if I compare it from last year to this year. So I totally resonate with what you and Rick are saying, with no doubt.
As some of the influencers will, let's say, drop their ego and come in at parity. Those are the ones that you're talking to right now, so you can feel them. Others are taking it higher and higher and trying to hold on to their influencer status. So they will fall a different way. They will come in line a different way, but absolutely. So we're seeing it from the ones that will get it are coming, are talking to the spiritual now and releasing their need to be the influencer. They're realizing there's more. The ones that want to be the influencer, they want to hold their lead. I'm a leader. Okay. Okay. Let's watch that unfold. Sorry. So yeah, beautiful. Is anybody else got any?
I do agree with Yolanda. She said that because of frequency from this year, when we compare last year, right? We do hope that everything will be forward to the new world. When we compare last year and this year, I think the leader works around the universal.
Beautiful.
Great.
One thing I wish to say, what we're noticing, and oh, were you finished, Jitterat?
Jitterat was. Renata was just a little timid in there.
Oh, go ahead, Renata. No, I love to hear others. Go ahead.
Did I say something? Please do.
I just said that you agree with Miss Yolanda. That she said that if you compare the last year and today, everything like a go forward to the universal. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the frequency and vibration.
Go on, Renata. Speak your speech.
Thank you. Well, it was lovely. It's wonderful to be in everybody's company. Thank you on behalf of Chief and myself. Since I'm speaking first, Chief, I'm going to say miigwech for having us join you. We're our hearts are. And after we had our beautiful meeting, I just wanted to let you know that I had another meeting with my mentor Hazel for the energy work that I do. And I was told yesterday that we do something called the Divine Unity Field, and we have 38 facilitators all over the world, right? Anyway, so I was told yesterday we need to really, I downloaded a message, we need to really help facilitators learn how to communicate with their fields so that they can help, because there's actually a way to communicate. And you know, this has been around for about 15 years. Anyway, so we jumped on the meeting on a Zoom, and you know, we chat. And as soon as we were to get to the meat and potatoes of the conversation, I got broadsided by energy and I went into trance, and this incredible message came through from Unity, and Unity is basically consciousness. And they said, okay, prepare. we are, and the vision that I got telepathically was actually really funny. It was all of unity, all the characters that you would think of, you know, the highest ascended masters in a beautiful house at a kitchen, sort of the you know, the, what do you call it, the kitchen island, and Jesus was there, like in his robes and his Jesus creepers, and he was frying something up, and you know, Buddha was chopping vegetables. It was hilarious. And they said, we are preparing an infusion to your energy that is going to assist you. What did they say? It was both a protection, but also like a loudspeaker, if that makes any sense, so that wherever we go, the frequency is going to be so much more amplified. Yeah. And so it's kind of like preparing us to be loudspeakers for a very, very, very high vibration. So that was just amazing. So, and plus like all of this buzzing, I don't know about you guys, but like the back of my neck is buzzing, you know, I think all those chakra points are opening up. So if this is confirmation that things are really changing, and it was a beautiful message to receive. So I just wanted to share that, because it's really the underpinning of everything that you're doing here, that we're collectively doing, you know, because as we raise our vibration, and you know, others are attracted to that aspect of the vibration, right? We don't even have to say anything, and it's just like, yeah, okay, I'm in. Right? I want what she's having, right?
Yeah. Magnetized.
Yeah, exactly.
Was that was after our meeting last night? Oh,
Yeah.
Yesterday. Oh, beautiful.
Well, for us, for me, when we got to, it was early in the day. So then right after that, I had another meeting. So literally within an hour, that's when that happened. Yeah. Yeah, it was great.
Beautiful. Awesome. Again, I from what I see, absolutely, that lift and the way it's working and the way that it's shaking up, and then reconciliation, the energetics, it feels that way too. So perfect. Love the confirmations. Any more?
I'd like to just confirm a little bit more to what Renata just said there. So for 3 days, I was in confusion a little bit and resisting and fighting. I spoke to Rick, then I spoke to Lee, and that I was confused in the area of the energy and trying to work with it the old way. So in that confirmation to what you've just said is what I'm sort of going through that process in this moment.
This is what I think a lot of people are realizing. They're releasing the old ways of seeing, and stepping into that. This is completely that surrender in their own way.
Indeed, and stepping more into your divine authority and your divine role and purpose there. Yes, and being prepped and strengthened beyond, and totally concur with everything everyone is saying, and it's happening. I like to say much more on a macro level as well. We're only seeing a few examples of us here, and there's many more being prepared for this. I had a few things written down here, as you saw, a list. But with the group form, we had our meeting last night. Beatrice brought up, I believe, that there were some groups attempting to form or to join with GPMS. And to my knowledge, Lee, the group form, we're not using that yet. Could you elaborate on that? I'd like to hear from Beatrice if that was the case. My understanding that some groups were going to join as groups.
So we've got some things in the air. Yvonne, Renata, and I, and others have been speaking to nation associations and clan and family associations through groups. This isn't necessarily through a group form, as in a leader or a speaker allocating or consenting for a group. What it is more about a group affiliation. So another page where a nation state could, or let me shorten it. What we came to yesterday was it would be very, very useful, or could be very, very useful, if we had the speakers for certain groups, nations, clans, families, that would put a statement in to say that we are aligned with however it's worded. I'm not going to put words into the leaders, speakers' minds, but a statement to say, this is where we're going. So that each group, each nation, each clan can have their own sort of statement from a speaker within that group to say, this is where this group is going. This is where we are aligned with. It's safe, it's good, it's whatever, however the words come. And that would then allow for these others that were in that group to feel that there is a direction for that nation, whereas it doesn't need to be separate. If the clan leaders or the nation leaders or speakers have aligned, they're coming into a unity, then the group themselves, the nation, the people of that will then consent, rather than thinking, well, we're not doing it without that. So we're looking at the mechanism or the dynamic of how to put groups together and make it feel, however the wording is, comfortable, as opposed to separate, non-oppressive, free, as opposed to forced. These sort of ideas, and somewhere where that we can create safe is the wrong word, you get what I mean, a more comfortable space. Now, with the groups themselves that are forming and having group forms, we can do this, we can do that as well, but we still want the individuals, ultimately it's the individuals joining, and the individual realizing the empowerment and their self-worth is the numbers, really. But we can allocate groups should we wish to. But all of these are hinging on the website being upgraded. There is little point trying to do anything with the existing website as it is. We're waiting on the website being upgraded, which is a little while away. So we've got this period now where we can discuss, and I'd love to open it up for other ideas as to how to make more attractive is the wrong word, because these words don't quite fit, but make it more open, accessible, and add other things in and other ideas in affiliation pages or group pages or nation association pages, to allow for the alignment of groups in a quicker way, in a simpler way, in a less frictional way. So there are some ideas in the table. There are some technical difficulties with other ideas. But what we're looking for right now, and I'm sure Yvonne will jump in as well as Beatrice, to give their perspective and concepts, and we can discuss this, collaborate with this, and come up with something that's simple, easy, and fits it all. So that's my elaboration, brother, at the moment.
Thank you. One thing that I brought up before is on the website, what I propose is, having the groups with their numbers in it, that we can, let's say, put those groups on the website with the numbers in that group, but also, as you suggested, do not add the group into the individual consents, but these groups during the course, let's say if a group comes that has 100 people, says, yes, we're all on board with their speaker saying yes, then the name of that group can go on the website and says there is 100 other souls here. Then what happens with that group of 100 souls, then individually, all of those began to do their individual consents. It is one of the ways that I see it being most concrete, perhaps, and the easiest way to do this.
That kind of links with the Nation Association page. So where we've got a contact or about us, contact us, we can have an affiliation, a group page, a Nation Association, clan, family, whatever, however the wording of it is. And on that page, we can have the groups with the consents, like you're saying, should they arrive that way. But we can also have what we were talking to yesterday with the statements from the speakers for those groups saying, this is where we're going, this is where we've aligned with, this is where we've consented with, and this is safe for this group, or however, again, I'm using the wrong terms. This is where we're going for this group, this nation is going this way. and this is why, or however that's worded by the speakers. And on that same page could be what you're saying, brother. This group's aligned without the statement. 100 people from there, 150 from there, 10,000 from there, and then the nation statements. So we could, then that page could be quite long, because people that are looking for that page would generally want to find a nation association page. They're not looking for short, they're not looking for succinct, they're just looking for information. So that works perfectly.
Yeah, with the individual, as we know, the individual's agreement has to be documented and recorded there. So every individual agreement is an actual vote that is counted and documented by their individual agreement. So having said that, you know, we had thought in the past, yeah, we could bring in a speaker of a group, but that individual agreement is the foundation of, you know, collecting the legitimate, or should I say the lawful voice, the lawful agreement. So,
and the energetic on top of that, as well as the individual agreeing and concurrently doing it themselves. There is that energetic agreement too. So it's not just about the numbers from the leader speaker putting the numbers in. There is that individual energetic too.
So then with that, Lee and you and Renata and Chief, I believe you're working on that. So that is in development, being worked upon. Yeah.
Coming back,
can I just add something else to the table here? So when we've been speaking with Wanda and a few others in South Africa, well, in Africa, the children in the orphanage haven't got guardians to put down their names. Some of them are a little bit younger than, some of them are old enough to make that choice themselves, but some of them are a little bit younger. So normally they would have a guardian in there that the parents of the child would bring forth and put their name forward. So how do we deal with that scenario when it comes to children in orphanages? And also,
sorry.
Yeah, and also another thing that was suggested or brought forward to the table was there's a lot of villages in Africa that can't read or write. And somebody brought to the table a recording of their consent. I don't know if that's valuable or it's something we could do, but I'm just bringing it to the table for someone to see.
We've talked to both of these things. These villages that can't read or write, well, the one that's contacting you can, the one that's sending you the recording can, they can read and write, and they can. We talk to this with the guys. You're going to somebody and saying you can't read and write. Can you record your consent? Well, why can't they just tell them, add it to there and say, just put your squiggle here. There is no reason to have to do this. By the time they've actually recorded it and sent it through to you to say, is this okay? They could have just filled the form out and just, if you agree, just put your squiggle here. With regard to the guardian thing, that's English, it's a Western thing about guardians need to be guardians. Who's the guardian of a child? Whoever's looking after that child. Who can stand in the guardianship status of a child that can't help themselves? Anybody. It's only in the West that we use this guardian has to be a documented, there has to be a parent, has to be this, that, and the other. Let's take away the definitions and look at who's looking after the best interest of a child that can't look after themselves. Anybody can. Give the child the information. Do you want, is this something that you would like? Even, if the child's too young, you can still do it for that child in the state that you are. Don't think about it from a Western point of view where you've got to be documented legally or lawfully guardian. No. Yeah. Look at this as a humane thing as opposed to a lawful legal thing, even though that is part of it. So with these kind of concepts, if they think, well, I can't do that because I'm not the child's guardian, what? If their child hasn't got any guardian, then somebody's got to step up. And rather than recording people, just utilize your own. We've talked to this many times. If you can access GPMS and you can get your consent, because we're only using one email and just changing the names, then use your email. Just tell the people, do you want this? Yes, okay. What's your name? Beautiful. Just put your squiggle there. That's all they need. That's how simple it can.
I'll speak to them about this, yeah.
Well, really, Lee, this is what is happening in Peru with Jaime, which I think I've commented it before. I've talked it with Rick, what happens over there in Peru is there is a lot of people that don't have internet. They don't know how to read. They live in extreme poverty. So what Jaime precisely does, and that's what he's been doing up till now, is contacting these people, explaining what GPMS is, and taking their, if they agree and they resonate with GPMS, taking their email, the name, and doing all this list at home, you know? So he personally does it himself. He takes like 50 people that he's been talking to, or, you know, that goes to mouth, and he takes all the addresses and he puts it in himself if they want to agree with GPMS. So that's what's happening over there.
That's what Thailand did. That's what Jidarat started doing. This is what a lot of the others have been doing. They've been starting to run with this idea that the people that can't help themselves, we can help them. This is the great missionary work. It's so benevolent. It's so beautiful. But what's happening a little bit again in Africa is the reasons why not to, what's coming out, as opposed to the reasons why to, like your Hyman's doing, like Jidarat's done in Thailand, and all of these. They didn't find reasons why not to. They just went out and said and did it. Others are coming back and saying, well, we can't do this because of this, and that's still being continued with others. So it is, yeah, I get it. I see what it is. But if the people in Africa could speak with the people in Thailand or the people in Peru and watch what they're doing, beautiful, you know, and then run with it themselves. So we cut out the rubbish in the middle, the thinking, take away the complexity. You are the guardian if you feel you are. You can consent for them. You know, Hyman's doing it. You could make it easy and just do it off his email, one email, and just change all the names if you wanted to. But if they haven't got emails, you can still use yours and just change the name on that for them. That still comes through as an individual consent.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there is this option too. So not everybody needs an email. We've been trying to say this for a long time. So in African villages, in Peruvian villages, if they don't read and write and haven't got internet, they probably haven't got emails. But the one that's going to them and offering these things has. They can use their email. Brother, you've got your hand up, and I know Jida, you've got your hand up too. So let's go to Rick first.
Yeah, Rick, Brother Rick first.
Yes, please. Just
thank you, Jidarat. So what I wish to say, yes, and Jidarat will give a little bit more here in a moment on this. So my understanding as the example in Thailand, you know, one would take their phone and go to the fields and, you know, explain GPMS if they agreed to it, and, you know, have on their phone the consent, type in perhaps their name, and just get them in that box to just put a mark, if you will, with their finger is their energetic mark, which is their signature. Their signature could be a heart or what have you. So yes, with GPMS, it's so important that as the groups become bigger, that you have what Lee has said as the volunteers and the missionaries that will go into the field, if you will, the field of poverty, to collect the voice. And this becomes so important because when you look worldwide, it is perhaps 45% or even more of the population worldwide does not have access to internet, does not have a phone, and are for the most part what you would call uneducated to a large degree, which is illiterate. And however, having said this, this voice, 45 or 50%, is huge. You know, that is a big part of the majority, but also this is what GPMS is for as well. And taking this a step out a little further, with the statistics in the world, there is about 85% of the world's population that is in some sort of a lack or poverty, you know, that is constantly struggling in the enslavement world. So by saying 85%, you know, again, it's very easy to see we already have the majority voice. It's got to be collected for everything what GPMS is. All of these 45%, you know, that are in extreme poverty, yes, of course, they are going to want it. It is their deliverance, as we know. And having said this also, so we have 85% of the world population that is in some form of lack. So this means we have 15%, which is mostly in comfort. But again, when we look at this 15%, this is mostly the Western world, you know, let's say that's been living in a more of a comfortable place. However, even that 15%, as we see, is being squeezed and squeezed more. And out of this 15%, with the present monetary system worldwide, it's also, you have, let's say, humanitarians or good souls that are also, some of those are in that 15%, which will come at a time to support GPMS at giving it a boost if it needs it, let's say in the financial area. However, I don't really wish to say this because about giving it a financial boost to get the word out, because I don't really believe that we need that.
Let the universe bring that should it need be required, brother.
Yeah. We keep our focus on collecting, you know, the majority voice, and that's what clenches it. So Jitteret wanted to say something, but also Beatrice a while ago about the groups. If you can go in that order and go back to it, Lee, that would be great. Thank you, brother. I love you.
Love you too, my friend. Go on, Jida.
Thank you so much. You just said that we divide the representative northern, southern, central, and then someone who cannot help themselves, limited for mobile phone, limited for Wi-Fi, then they just write in the book name, address, and the detail, and then take a photo by mobile phone and send to the representative. And then the voice representative will key in for them. This is very easy for us. This is our recommendation. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. There is something I'm going to add in a minute, but Beatrice.
Yes, so yeah, I do believe that would be better by groups and practically to share when there is almost perfect alignment among the groups. I believe that we can share the vote, then we can let also other project of the sovereignty to happen in some places in the world. Yeah. So I think so. I spoke with Martin only 3-4 times before, and I believe that he aligns very well with GPMS. Yeah, he's speaking more about natural law, about no borders. Also, all of us are equal, and also he has a lot of connection to the international level. For me, it was a little bit a surprise because he was coming from a political spectrum in the past, and he was involved in a lot of banks. But I realized that the time that he invested near a tribe and near sovereignty in general changed him in a way that practically he put all his knowledge and everything in sovereignty movement, trying to do exactly what GPMS is doing practically. And I said, why the groups cannot be exactly as you said. So practically everybody will keep their own names, but will be like an added of consent that can be very, very beneficial for any kind of sovereign project, and also for GPMS, because GPMS practically it's everything. But yeah. So this will be great, and I would like to see more people like Martin Brodman I would like to see more like him involved in the sovereignty way, but I am not really able to find. So I'm looking every single day. And I try to contact everybody if they are not in the good way. I try to tell them what really is not working and why. Sometimes they listen, sometimes they modify, sometimes, you know. So yeah, for some people this takes times, but others are already to the level to see GPMS, and this is amazing.
I think yesterday's meeting with Martin just went perfectly. It was just a straight up, yeah, I see it. Let me run with it now. Let me go and find some more stuff out, and then he'll open up connections. We've spoken to quite a few like Martin, and the immediate alignment is there, but it wasn't the right time for them, let's say. So we'll get more, and you'll find more. You'll start pulling them. They'll be everywhere. That's beautiful to see. And what I was going to say was to everybody that does listen and everybody that is involved with spreading the word to those that can't, maybe technologically or illiteracy, these ideas. Don't look at what you can't do. Thailand didn't ask us once, what can we do? They just went out and collected the voice. Peru isn't asking what can I do. Peru is just collecting the voice. So look, these ones, they're not looking for reasons why they can't. What I've got, I'm not the Guardian, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not the other. They're just saying, well, let's just do it. That's what I would say to people. Just do it. However you see fit. Renata.
Thank you, Lee. That's really brilliant. And I didn't realize, okay, just put two things together. So do you remember a while ago, I sent you a video that I did about a young man that contacted me through GPMS in Tamale in Ghana? Well, the good news is, so I did a brief 5-minute video. I threw together a GoFundMe. We raised enough money, actually twice the amount that we needed, in order to fix the well, because all their little children are going 10 miles to carry water on their heads, and the water it's open sewage. And I mean, it just broke my heart. Anyway, the pump is being fixed on Monday. And you know how many people are going to have fresh water because of this? 5,000.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
So Jabuni, because he's the boots on the ground young man there, what an earth angel. So what I can say to him is, Jabuni, as 5,000 people come to get water, can you ask them for their voice?
Ask them if they want GPMS.
Exactly. Because it was because of GPMS that he contacted me in the first place. And normally people that contact, I don't, I mean, I get contacted a lot, but like, because he said he was a member of GPMS, that gave me, oh, okay. You're not contacting me to sell me, something, right? So it was an immediate endorsement. I think the word we were looking for is like an endorsement. So a nation endorses their connection with you, you endorse the connection with the nation, right? Anyway, so
affiliate, alignment, however,
whatever the word is. But
yeah.
if so, thank you so much. Sorry, Jitterat, because I don't know that his phone is going to be able to handle signing up 5,000 people, because he's got a crappy little cell phone. So if he can do what Jitterat did, where he has like a somebody's put it on a piece of paper, squiggle, right? Because not everybody there can read and write, and then he can take a screenshot of that and send that to you. Is that how I tell him how to do it?
Listen, we've got that's what Jitterat's doing in Thailand. They had a central whatever they're doing down there, and there was a connection made that way where they were taking a screenshot of, I think, was it a screenshot of the information or a screenshot of the people? Was it a photo of the people, Jitterat, you were taking? Were you writing down the screenshot, the information in the book?
No, normally they send us information, they're writing in the paper, and they take photo by mobile phone, and then they send us by a line and send to representative. Then we take from information key in the computer, and check the name of the complete.
So the one thing that's missing from that is the energetic input from the individual. That's the only thing missing from it. Now, what we can't, what we've said openly is there won't be a central point where this can happen to. It's
Yeah, should be center point.
but inside the individual countries, there can be a center point set up by the people.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
GPMS can't have a sort of central point where information is coming in and people just keying in people's consents. That doesn't align. But individual groups, countries, if you set up if you had a village or a region in Africa where the information was going to a central point where there was a computer and people were putting that information in, and that was done and self-directed by the tribes as a way of getting the voice, perfect. So these ideas are creational ideas within the administrations of the community, not top down, not saying do this and we'll get all the names. It's right, how do we get the names best aligned here, and what can we do here to do this and facilitate this and create it ourselves? If you see, then you've got more of a rounded energetic behind it. You've got, it's not just we want the names, it's no, how do we get everybody aligned in our own villages who haven't got this? We've got a lack there, so how do we pool our resources to be able to align all this and get those names in, because we realize how important they are. So it's that sort of area that this works perfectly in. So what you're talking to there, however that transpires in Africa, if they want to write this down and they've got a central point in Africa where they can put those names in and create that alignment within the village, awesome. The ones that have got the orphanages, they can add all the children, because the children, if they're in charge of the children, they are the guardians of the children, and the children are going to their orphanage. All of those children's names, they can speak to those children and just add all those children individually. They haven't got to be done over a day. They can take weeks, but they can just keep adding those children when they've got, they might have a crappy phone, so you can only do 5 a day. So do 5 a day, every day, rather than think I need a bigger phone because I've got too many to do. Just start. This is the point. And like Judarat saying, when they started, they weren't taking pictures and screenshotting them and sending them to people to key in. What they realized was that was a way they could do it that made sense for them. So they did it. They didn't ask, they just did it. And that's the beauty of all of this. It's creation, and we all do it our own way. So not top down, bottom up. That's my input for that, brother. If you want to say anything.
No, that's beautiful. With that, I'll just bring up one point again to have it refreshed. You know, with let's say with the educated children, perhaps in the Western world, again, it's important that at least some of them that are open to it, to carry the GPMS message to the children, the teens, and the youth. So I wish just to refresh that as well. Of course, you know, the children are also an equal and important, significant part of GPMS, and at any opportunity, I believe, for ones, if a child or a youth wants to carry the message to share with the other children, that, let's say, that should be fully supported, but also, let's say, put into motion if one of us or any of the representatives see a way, if it divinely arises with that, to I'm looking for the word, to accommodate that opportunity so we get it out more to the children. Going to the sovereignty, all of the groups worldwide, you know, over the last more so decades, with more of the, I'll use the word non-indigenous, you know, but everyone is, for the most part, we are all indigenous to some degree, but the non-indigenous sovereignty groups, just using that word as a label, you know, they have began to create self-sustained communities on the basis of sovereignty, while the true, what we know, the true sovereignty, I wish to say, of the indigenous peoples was kept intact and kept, for the most part, concrete. But as we know, everything was infiltrated over time. But the point I'm making on this is that even though all of these sovereign autonomous communities are all around the planet, the thing is that the outside system is putting pressure more and more on these every day. And if the community is not completely self-sustained, for example, if they have a farm tractor and they need fuel, well, the cost in the inflation is becoming higher and higher. But this is only one indicator upon the sovereign communities and that segregation, that it has to come into unification, because the real threat is the worldwide network of all of the governments that most of the people are still supporting in power. And also what's occurring in that the outside world, if you will, so many more as a result of inflation, deprivation of utilities, electricity, what have you. It's putting more pressure on a large group of people that are also becoming homeless, beginning to live in their cars. You know, they're downsizing, get what is perhaps a camper, some in their cars. But also what it's doing is that these ones that are being deprived and being pressured right down to nothing left, they are looking for places to go. And you know, the self-sustained communities are becoming one haven, if you will. And not only that, the sovereign communities, and let's say with indigenous lands, if you will, you know, you're going to have more that are going to the hills, to the mountains. And in the Philippines, as an example, Lee and I had a great meeting with Captain Ray, and what he told us in the Philippines, that many were giving up on society. They're going to the mountains, in the woods, you know, to survive. But again, the point that I'm bringing up, and anyone can put it in their own words when you're speaking with all of the separate sovereign groups, that it has to be done now, the full unity, because you're going to be pressured and, you know, divide and conquer. So the more you're pressured, you're not going to exist. And it's going to force ones into unity, which is happening. So I wanted to add that. One more little thing with Thailand and Jittarat, what they are doing, where they have formed such an incredible voice with GPMS. They are all intertrading with each other. They have formed a great network of support, and you know, they are the largest group. But having said that, and Jittarat, I know can attest to this, and we heard it before, that Thailand is ready right now to share and trade with the other country GPMS teams. So you can see the beauty of this, where you're having this other trade that is going again, you know, above the old system, but it's creating this gesture, if you will, is so beautiful and so important, because it's creating another level of unity and support for the people. So I wish to share the significance of that, which has formed, and it is also, you know, part of showing you the paradigm shift that has already been created within Thailand. And with that number I love so much, 0.0002%. So what's that, Lee? 0.21000%, I believe is the correct way to say it.
That sounds good.
Yeah, so with that such a small number, it affected Thailand and created a paradigm shift. And when we take that number and reflect it in the worldwide population, it's around 1 million or a little less. So you can imagine with GPMS having in all of the countries proportionate, whatever that decimal 0.002% would be. Once we have that, it's creating a mass, it's affecting a paradigm shift. So if we look at Canada with about 38 million, I believe the number is 2 9s is 8. What's that?
7,000, about
7,000.
8,000.
So once the GPMS Canada group reaches 7,000 of a unity, that GPMS word is spreading out all over Canada. So it's having such a more energized effect. And I need to show that the numbers are so small with this because, you know, of the misconception that you need the majority now to do anything. No, as we keep going forward, these small magic numbers have an exponential effect as well. So we only need, yes, go ahead, Lee.
One thing we can add to that, though, is we can tell by experience with Thailand, prior to that, there wasn't direction. So prior to that number, there was a little bit less consolidation. When that number was reached, then direction. This is the paradigm shift we're talking to. So I'm not saying that we need to get 7,600 thank you, Richard, in Canada to get a directed group. But at that point prior with Thailand, that was the point of direction. And that was the point of then self-consolidation and unity. And this is when things started to move. And the beauty is with Thailand now, they can offer that and that insight everybody else from the vanguard.
Yeah, well, let's look at, you know, some of the numbers we heard perhaps out of Canada yesterday, and perhaps Chief and Beatrice or ones can elaborate. You know, look at the size of these sovereign groups and freedom groups. What kind of numbers are we looking at? Let's say if we had one of the most biggest prominent groups in Canada joining, you know, what sort of numbers are we looking at as an example of how quick this can?
Martin said yesterday 13 million in one group, but I'm not Canadian.
I believe maybe that number was worldwide, because and correct me if this is not the case. I mean, he had said in Germany were groups as well, and I believe in South America, I think he might have said. But I mean, if we look specifically in Canada, you know, there are large groups as well. And of course, the groups are getting bigger. And also with Martin yesterday, so he was at least part of the convoy and connected, you know, with the Canada convoy and also in Europe. And please, someone, if this is not correct, please say on this as well. But it was my understanding that he was connected with the convoys that got a lot of attention worldwide and began to create groups. Is that the case, Lee or Beatrice or anyone?
He was part of the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding. He was one of the signatories of that. And I believe he said that in December, they had like over 400,000 signatures for that movement to present to the government to basically remove all of the political parties and create something new.
So there's 400,000 collected to dismiss the government.
Yeah.
Yeah. How quickly could those 400,000 be connected to, you know, reappropriated or realigned to create freedom for everybody? You know, this is the simple.
In Canada. Yeah, that's in Canada.
Yeah, I realize. But if those same people were given the option of GPMS, Now, in the past, I'd say that half of them, or a lot more than that, wouldn't see it. They would still want to fight the government. I'm not so sure now. I'm not so sure. But this is, again, that's that realignment as we're in. So 400,000. There's one group, brother.
Yeah, there you go. What a huge number. You know, if you head that right into GPMS today from Canada, but all around the world, the numbers are huge as well. So again, with indicating what is known out there with the numbers, again, I wish to say how really, truly easy this is to do once we get them in alignment. And yeah, and with fighting the governments, as everyone knows, I mean, they're supposedly to be the representatives of the people. And at this point in time, worldwide, enough know that the governments do not have the people's best interest in mind. And most importantly, worldwide, the majority, if you were to take a poll, have no trust whatsoever in governments any longer. And again, this shows how easy the majority voice, if it's all just brought together to say, hey, you don't need the system that the governments have. Here is the new system. So we don't even need to consult the governments. It's a frivolous and a full waste of time to even oppose what they're doing. Again, keep the focus on the unity, and we just create the new free system. So the numbers are there at this time. It's the point. And
this is about consciousness.
Yeah.
It's all about consciousness. It's less that they. There is a massive mistrust, but the mistrust is also in everybody else. So everybody's mistrusting everything, or distrusting everything, including their own judgment. This is that's just what it is. Just call it for what it is. So the consciousness rises, and we can align that trust, show them something else. There's a small leap of faith required, and that's simple. But
how much more, please, anyone, if you have any comments with this, like how much more simpler can we have it than we collect the majority voice to create this new world, which is not a fantasy. Everything is already here right now. We don't need anything built to create this new world. Everything is here. And we're collecting the majority voice that wants this new abundant and free world. Everyone knows how a vote works. What is it that they're not getting, let's say, at thinking and believing it can't be done? You know, we're having all of the good people, the speakers that are genuine and authentic of the people, that are gathering the majority voice, and they know that majority works. It enacts laws, and in this case, once we have the majority voice, it fully enacts and substantiates the people's divine law, but it also lawfully allows for the people to create the money that we're creating and distributing it to everyone.
There's a thing I came up with the other day, brother.
Yes.
Maybe this is aligned slightly. We've put neon lights everywhere with signs and all sorts of different things, but people can't see neon. And all we can use is neon. It seems at the moment we use neon, big directions and big. This is what it is. But their eyes just filter out neon. It doesn't see it at the moment, but that's because of the consciousness, and it's just the levels. It's not. There's nothing can be simpler. It cannot be simplified any further. I don't believe, unless anybody can come up with a. It's not the simple. It's just it can't be seen, and there's the reason. There's the kicker. Why can't it be seen?
Exactly. Any suggestions? You know, I speak to a lot of people, and we're all one. So if there's something another little way I could say it, I love to hear, because we're the huge think tank and we have all the solutions. So if there's something I'm missing, not saying yet, I'd love to hear it. I love all different perspectives.
Daniel, you got your hand up, brother. Great to see you, by the way, Daniel. You've been quiet in the background. How's Singapore?
Hi, everyone. I'm trying to lower the hand. Yeah. So, yes, I really appreciate most of like Patrice and Yolanda, Richard, especially Judara. I really appreciate and applaud the efforts that you have been doing in the sense that your respective countries or the nations have really huge challenges, not only in terms of land, people of different classes. But here in Singapore, that's why I wanted to hope to gain some of your insights or suggestions. I have been trying to run around and kind of like convincing them that the world is changing. Some will maybe believe, like just today, I finished a document called, I think, the situation update, a global update to four members that I have actually gathered through a class, and they were all fascinated, you know, the poke with 2 to 3 jabs, and yet they felt something was amiss. And strangely, here in Singapore, we have like over 95% of the population that have been jabbed. 95% out of 5.5 to 6 million people. I'm one of the 5% who have not been jabbed, not even once. So having said that, I always think that the people who are not jabbed may be more open to the ideas like what GPMS is, for example. However, I found that it's like sometimes opposite. People who are not jabbed, they're still of kind like staying in the 3D world, 3D context, competition without that kind of added pressure. But those who got jabbed because due to work pressures, if they don't get the poke, they would lose their jobs, right? So anyway, to make the story short, I'm trying to really get people to rally around the GPMS in a way that it will not so-called bring about an awareness by the respective legal authorities here in Singapore. If you may not have lived here before, maybe Chitra will know, because we are nearby. Singapore is a very fine city, you know what I mean, fine. Anything that we do wrong, we are subject to a fine between like $100 to $500, you know, even when we were not wearing masks at that time. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is that I am facing a challenge here in a way of how to really convince, because what I heard from most of you is that you have pockets of people who are out in the mountains, villages, the suburbs, like in Thailand. I do understand that like besides the major city like Bangkok, there are so many other villages out there that we can try and convince them that GPMS will work for them because it's by the people and we have our sovereignty. The thing is that even many people also do not know that we may have already gained the sovereign rights. As like say here in Singapore, as long as this 95% are comfortable with what they have now with the material needs, the cars, the house, the jobs, you know what I mean? Because Singapore is, I would say, not totally well developed. Yes, hardware, we have a lot of good things, hardware, transportation is there, healthcare system is there, maybe the education system is there, but the software is missing. The soul of the people is missing. And that is why I'm hoping that through GPMS, we could get the souls back to the people. But unfortunately, as I just mentioned, 95% or probably even 80% get jabbed 3 times. And probably another 70% is really more than that. So I'm trying to get an idea here as well. My next step is for this group of small people, small group of people, maybe between 4 to 8 people. I'm trying to get them to look into the GPMs because I don't want to push them too hard. Otherwise, they would have seen some hidden agenda. But I hope with the document that I had produced for them to make them aware of what was happening in this world for the past hundreds of years, then they have, hopefully I can get them to be more mindful and look into GPMS as well as to help other people in need. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. And I really appreciate Chitara. She has been she is really good, and look forward to also working with her as well in the near future.
Beautiful, Daniel. And I'd like to reiterate one thing to you, brother, and just, I think we said it before maybe, but I just want to say it again. It's something Brother Rick told me as well. When I was in the UK, local, nobody would listen to me. I couldn't, the people around me, that didn't matter. They wouldn't see any of the, no matter GPMS. You're not a prophet in your own time. This thing is actually sits in. You find out where you can be. You are aligned an Indian group. You aligned it, created it, put it together, gave them the information, and all of a sudden they started to move. They stopped. Can you help there? Is there something you can do with others outside of Singapore, outside of what you're trying to do here? Can you put your effort there and influence and inspire and uplift and empower those outside of your area, and let the ones around you just be? I don't know. It's just a question. It's what I found that I had to do, was move elsewhere. These things I can see in quite a lot of others, where they're aligning with different places. Again, not all, but it's nevertheless one of those things. So where you have influence and where you can empower, maybe there, and less worry about these that seem to not be moving. That's just an input, my friend, and I love you for what you do, Daniel.
Can I just add a little bit more to that? I've been on the road a little bit, and I've been taking it to communities, Sikh communities, other communities, Krishnas. But what I found is I don't make a judgment at the beginning, no matter whether they've had injections or not. It's nothing to do with me. I just speak to every individual that comes into my awareness or my space. I don't make any sort of judgment. Maybe at the beginning I made a judgment, but I don't make a judgment now. And I found that some people that I've come across randomly where I've been sees it. They see it because they know what's going on around them with their bills and everything else. So I would say, don't make a judgment, just take it and speak.
Yes, I'd like to add to that. As a result of the vaccinations worldwide, it also has caused so many more to awaken. And with this, what I wish to say, yes, it was a mass genocidal attempt worldwide, but there has been divine intervention. And this is why you did not see the deaths, what, let's say, the actual evil anticipated. And with that, that's why they took their various narratives to try to create a lot of deaths. But we don't need to go into that, because again, the important point is we do not discriminate against anyone or any situation, because again, as Dean has said, judgment separates, and we're not about that. And what I need to say is there is so many good souls, and it could perhaps be a large part of the majority that are vaccinated. However, there is also the divine assurance that these ones go forward as well. And in the vaccinated communities, if you will, worldwide, they have experienced and have seen the adverse effects to some degree. They may have a family member, a colleague, a worker, colleague, or friends, or what have you. They have seen at least some of the adverse effects to know that it was not a great gesture in the least towards humanity, and of course the violation of rights where it was imposed and coerced upon them. So having said that, it's all course of bringing us forward and making it easier for ones to make the choice as well, and breaking that trust that they had in governments by experiencing and seeing the ill effects with it. And having said this, you know, one report in Australia, what I had got with Melbourne, one of their last protests, you know, with 600,000, some say 1 million people. Many of those, what I'm given, were vaccinated, and they had began to be sick. And, you know, as a course of that, they began to awaken, and that's what will occur upon the planet. So, yeah, having said that, Daniel, with the India group, I have a question that the India groups, actually there were 2 of them with GPMS, and Lee and I had 2 great meetings with them. I think there were 79 in one group and about 39 in another group from India with GPMS, and boom, the agreements went up to 488 from India on our website almost instantly. Then it stopped, and it's been perhaps a month or 2. It just stopped. Also in the India GPMS group, seeing nothing for maybe a month or 2. What I just did yesterday is Hemba and Absalom and Pretam, I believe. These were 3 of the GPMS leaders in India. I have sent them a message just to get an update, and there has been no reply yet. My question is, Daniel, have you been in any contact with them? Is there anything that you could shed some light on as to the reasoning why with India it seems like they have been disconnected? Thank you.
No, I do not have any info, but in the past I used to contact them. Just only about, let's say, a month ago, I stopped contacting them because I got a new job. I was busy with my new job, new role. However, all 3 of them were from the same Life Force group that was under the Asia Pacific region, right? The last time that I helped to organize. So nevertheless, I will also send a message to Pritam, because Pritam used to be my India representative for the Life Force group last time, before it was disbanded. So get your updates as soon as got any information.
Just to align what, Richard, before we come to you, brother, I see your hands up. Just to align what I was saying a little bit more specifically was to Daniel. When we started the conversation off was that things that we anticipate tend to come in sideways. When we first started, I said that this is where, you know, you anticipate you're going to go that way, and then things come in sideways. This is what I was sort of aligning with you and others, is that where we think we've got to go might not be where we actually go, and to be aware that, you know, India may be more important for you than Philippines. it may be that your line is to push India to be the one for India. It may be that way. So what I would suggest to people is open up okay, this is coming, that's sideways, but let's run down that path for a little bit of time and spend some more time there than thinking where I'm supposed to go. That was what I was trying to say. It's not about judging people or their jabs or whatever's going wrong. It's just open to, well, what's this then? Let's go and explore that. And so that's what I was saying about India. So if you could do that, if you can open up contact again and see whether or not that then gives an empowerment or an uplift to the Indian groups again, or find out why. Either way, that would be perfect, brother.
I'll do that. No problem.
Richard, you got your hand up, my friend.
Yeah, I just want to add a couple things there. That's great. I mean, I think the energy connection with spirit could be wherever, right? And that draws you to that area, and then it works. But the other thing I wanted to point out, I assisted someone to consent, and I noticed still that when you hit the submit button, you have to submit it twice, but it doesn't tell you have to submit it twice, right? In order to get that registered.
Yeah,
I don't know, that could be an issue for some that's not getting the numbers.
it could be. We don't. Sometimes it doesn't. A lot of the times,
Technical issue, yeah.
on the
I mean, every
first,
time I've done it, it's always I have to press it twice.
yeah. If we've got a lot of duplicate, yes. Yes, very aware.
Yeah.
No web team, no idea how to fix it, and yeah, very aware. And divinely, it's still there.
Mhm.
So those that I got nothing to say to that.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, anyway, I'm aware of it, so I make sure that people they press it twice. Yeah.
Lee, can you write on the website? Can you put that would occur, that you've got to press it twice?
I can do, and then we'll have people that are pressing it twice, and even if it's gone through. Yes, that's okay. We'll have a look. The new site should be, it's on the cusp. But yes, if it's a problem, again, it's been like it for such a long time. They're doing something about it now. It's almost like the horse is bolted. But we could write something. Should we think it's necessary? We can get a consensus and write something. Please press twice if the submit doesn't work the first time or whatever. I don't know. Brother, Rick, did you have your hand up?
Well, perhaps, at the submit button, the proper procedure is to press submit and wait for a confirmation for about 2 or 3 minutes. And if they don't receive a confirmation that it was sent, then press again. So perhaps, just a simple instruction in comments below, just say, please note that you assure that it was received, that a sent box does pop up, to keep it as simple. That's a suggestion with that, at least.
I don't know. There's things on here. I'm just reading it myself. Oh shit! Hang on. I am open. I'm just reading it myself right now. We could do something with it. I'm just looking.
Well, one of the things while you're looking, Lee, one of the things also, what we're noticing is what I am noticing with the website when we're speaking with potential speakers of the people or what have you for the first time. They will perhaps take 5 minutes to look at the website. And I'm bringing this up because for any of you or anyone that is bringing new ones to the table, it should be emphasized that it's important for ones to sit down when they're first viewing the website in a relaxed position, and do not put a time limit on it. Take a half hour, whatever it takes, to go through it saying this is because, you know, because of attention spans and what have you, it doesn't matter what the reason is, that they only look at it for a little bit. But we need to reiterate, it's important that they read it and go into the depths of it and digest it, meaning that, you know, with some of these prominent leaders, when we have meetings, they'll ask questions or they'll say there is no structure with it. It doesn't say how it's done, when that is not true. Everything is pretty thorough in there, how it is. So what we're seeing, they're not reading the website and they're going on a preconceived notion that these things are not there. So they are creating complications and obstacles within the communication. So with this, any new ones, please ask them to sit down and really take a half an hour, at least, perhaps an hour, to look at the website and understand it. So I just wanted to bring that up. Also with, I have a lengthy list, so I'm interjecting things as we go along. I'm getting through it. Again, I need to emphasize the importance of the divine feminine with GPMS and speaking as you do, putting yourself out there to the degree each feels to do. But I'm also emphasizing the importance of that, having at what I love is an equal balance of the feminine and the masculine, because this is also the equality of the new society. So it's the template for that, having more of the feminine also to speak on their own out and do the work, as Yolanda and Beatrice as beautiful examples that I know of, and I know there are more that are doing this and stand in your, it's so important as well. And one of the reasons, you know, especially right in this now, that let's just say from the lower timeline, when a woman speaks and when a woman has more of a position of authority, they are tended to be listened to, especially now, more than a man. So, you know, I'm looking at the lower timeline, and we know the importance in the divine timeline, the divine feminine, as being the equal consorts to the masculine and being one with that inequality. So, however, it works both ways. The feminine voice is so important, and I will also go a little bit further because of what I'm told by Father. The feminine are the main creators yet in this world, meaning they have the most influence energetically and also speaking out there. So what I tend to do is, and Lee, I don't wish to degrade you, brother, but, you know, with Lee and I, we are to be the support, you know, for the feminine here as well, to take this more forward for the mothers, and the feminine more will tend to listen to your voice rather than, you know, the masculine, because one reason of the old patriarchal thing and all of that. So I wish to say that. And what else did I have here?
Brother, I'm not afraid of taking a back seat and I won't sing it to the world. I'll just sit back here.
We're here if we're needed. You know, ladies, take it divine feminine, and mothers take it forward. But no, we're here to play our roles as well, and inequality. And so another thing I just wish to say is, where's it at? Yeah, I believe on our website, I'll bring it up for all. We're reconstructing the website and working on it. Also, I believe we need somewheres on that front page or up top that we actually have GPMS country teams. And I believe it's important to show that for one reason, it shows that there is a more of a defined structure with GPMS, that it's more organized, that there are actually country teams out there as well. And I believe that should be indicated, whereas it more so supports that this is actually an organization, that it's a more of a union, and that it is more out there. For example, if someone looks at the website and they don't see, okay, who's doing it? Is there any structure in regards to that? To my knowledge, they will not see on the website that, of course, yes, they could go to get involved tab, but they don't know what that entails until they go there. And, you know, the first impression at looking at the website, I believe it should be something there, at least stating that there is organized country teams and what have you.
Yeah, there will be in about us, but we still got we've got this transition, haven't we? From how do we say this? The organizers, the owners of the country teams, let's say on Telegram at the moment, maybe didn't want to make those teams open to public. So the links for those teams were given to vetted ones, for want of a better word, at this point. So the actual teams thing has been a transitionary one from whereby the owners of the, or the group, the speakers, the ones that set up the teams really should be in here. And I'm not
absolutely, Lee, because I was actually going to comment this about the website, because of there is a big community of Spanish speaking, and sometimes they send you an email and then they don't know exactly where to contact. And I was actually going to ask, how about if, you know, when you in the web page where you say GPMS Spain, you give an email, my email, or my Telegram contact, so they can directly contact, because it loses, you know, with the email sending here and there, I think is not working that way. So I am open.
It did. What this is where we've got to be with, if we can see it like this, divinely what we did was perfect.
Yeah.
Now, what are we going to do? So it's not that it didn't work, it worked perfectly well, but now we've got another option. Now we've got an About Us page, we can put it on there, About Us, and we can actually redefine moving forward, as opposed to what was there. Let's look at this moving forward. Now, we have more of a foundation, now we have more of a base. Now, like Yolanda, you're more in position where you can receive those emails should you wish to. Why don't we have a gpms.españa gpmsworld.españa email that's actually you've got access to. So rather than it be your personal one, we set up an email through GPMS on the new website with GPMS España or whatever it is, and you have the access to that, so you can monitor a GPMS email. So we get it all aligned rather than individual emails, to make it more structured, to make it more look like team groups. There's a GPMS España email that goes through to the GPMS Spanish team. Contact here to join the team, you know, or put the Telegram. So we can do all of this now. Yeah. Whereas before it wasn't kind of the right time. So yes, with you totally. So as we look at this, refreshing the new website and the About Us page, what is it about us that we want to now change and alter and make more simple for others to align to? So of course, these creations of these groups and these teams and notifying them down and whatever, the ones that are strong enough now to take on board public and not get upset with, let's say, trolling and different things that may come in from others that, you know, happens. Once the groups that can do that are ready for that, we can put their links up. The ones that aren't, contact here.
Yeah, I'm open to that now, Lee, and I think and I think it's going to be good. Also, we're with this about because we have not yet created too much of a Spanish content on GPMS, like videos like you have in People's Monetary System. I was actually thinking that this is something that I want to create, just not interviews or things like that. It's just doing Spanish videos about GPMS, only an exclusive talking, and with me and others, how we see GPMS, and just lounge it out also there.
Do give yourself, what I would say is take a little bit perfect timing again, a little bit more breathing room on this, and redefine exactly what it is you want to think to. So what you're doing now is creating this, we would like to do this. In a second, in the upcoming not too distant period of time, there's going to be a rebranding and a reorganizing of GPMS. So, and probably a new logo, different color schemes, and different things that are just going to refresh and open up, and different ideas and different ways to move forward. So be aware that logo and other things that may well become different. So if we're going to start to do marketing, media, different designs and these sort of things, we haven't quite got any logo yet for that, which is, again, perfect timing, because it shouldn't be very much longer before this comes out in a new color scheme. And again, I'm not saying you have to align to it, but why use an old one if that old one isn't going to be going forward? Well, why old designs and these sort of ideas? And we haven't got a GPMS España website, email address yet. But by the time you do the marketing, maybe there will be one, and you can put that on the screen. These sort of ideas. So it's only a couple of weeks, maybe even less. Perfect.
Yeah.
We got two hands up. Rick, I think, was first.
Oh.
Oh no, Renata, look, she's so good.
Yeah, Renata can. Renata, I just one moment. What I suggest, because it might be what Renata's going to speak about. What we need on our website is, an actual picture of us, the prominent now representatives of GPMS. We need to put a face behind this movement, or not behind it, with it, if you will. And with that, also, what I would suggest, with my picture there, okay, contact Rick with my email. Now, with this, when you put an email, as you know, in the past, the darkness might send spams, but you can quickly get rid of them. And it may be part of the process, but it's important that we have our contact information out there, because the divine ones will get through and we will know them. So each does what they feel good with.
With these emails, I feel that we will align these emails through a gpms.world website email address rather than personal. But let's see how that goes. Renata.
Well, now that you just say that, it's really, if you want to have like an info@gpms.world, it's quite simple. It just, like I do that, I've done that for supported at Asman and my On a Hero's Journey platform. So it's just a Microsoft Exchange add-on. It's about $6 a month. I'd be happy to contribute that, because I've already got 2 others. So if you need that, then I could have that done in 20 minutes.
I can do it through CP admin.
Okay. So there you go.
But we've got nobody monitoring it. That's the problem.
Okay. Got you. Well, okay, that'll come. So yeah. I have a hard stop because I have to catch a train, because I have to go to Toronto today. But just so you guys all know, thank you so much. What a beautiful, beautiful group. And I just, fantastic. And I'm going to do another video when they open this well, this pump for, imagine, like, oh my God. And it was because you people, you started it. You ran
with it. Don't take away you ran with it.
No, I'm nothing. But if it wasn't for you guys, the connection would never have been made. So like, Thank you.
so much.
Okay, and you know that you have my video making, anything else making services, whatever you guys need. And yeah, and I gotta catch a train, so I gotta get running.
Love and light, Renata. Speak soon.
Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome. Love and light, and thank you.
Love and light to everyone. Bye. Bye.
Now I see there's going to be a slight alignment with the emails and all of these things as as we just redefine the new site and put that together. These pages, the about us page, Rick, and with the photographs, which does make me cringe a little bit, but nevertheless, these sort of ideas, it's going to be built by us. It's not something that we've already got. So this can all be created from scratch, and is being created right now in the talking about it. So especially with the and with the nation associations, however that clan page, family page, whatever that looks like, that's being built now. We haven't got quite the site ready yet, but what we're doing is designing it. So all of these things are awesome. Thank you.
What I wish to say, as we're noticing, you know, we have perhaps in this contributors group 270, if you will, with this. Thailand is doing beautiful with what they're doing. And but having said that, the rest, it's like we don't see any contributors in here out of 270. We only see the handful of us that is actually doing anything that, you know, perhaps the other 200 are doing something that I don't know about. But it would be great if they would let us know, you know, what they're doing, or at least give us a sample. But having said this, more with, let's say, the administration part of Facebook, our GPMS group, to my knowledge, it's only Emily there that is administering things with posts, you know, and so what I'm seeing is that with the social media, with so many of these contributors, you know, that have said to get involved, what I'm seeing is the percentage that I'm actually seeing of these contributors contributing, to my knowledge, is very, very low. Let's say it's perhaps you know, only a couple percent, which is
0.001%, brother. We haven't quite got to 0.0002 yet.
It's like defying, you know, we get all these contributors to come in to assist, but where are they? What are they doing? So if you're a contributor listening to this and you've been out there doing some things, you know, it's great to share at least that you're still here. But also, having said this, we do need, you know, ones administering social media. So we do need more of those. So if you're watching this, please step up and assist with this. And watching emails, of course, from the website and what have you. So we need more assistance and involvement with social media and whatever else that we need with this.
I'm about to talk with Nico about that and take that one forward too, because that's what she does. And I think that will align with the other SMICS too. So these two will align with that. That will pump in some marketing and social media. What we need is people orbiting around that as well and joining and connecting with this. This isn't about you're on your own, run it. There are 2 or 3 that we can connect that do that. Can we get some unity? Can we get these few to connect and allow others to start to run around this so that there is more organization? This is where we are. So perfectly said, brother.
Yeah, and I wish to add, there is the divine energetic element with this as well, which is part of the reason why you're not seeing a lot of contributors yet. It is what occurs when they come in and they, let's say, they fill out to get involved, they're enthusiastic to be part of GPMS, they see it, they love it, they feel it, but then all of a sudden they may get disheveled away from it ejected away from GPMS, because what occurs on the divine energetic level, they need to be in more alignment with going forward and with certain things in their purity in their individual process. So it's divinely assured as well. They'll be ejected until, and they'll be subjugated outside of GPMS with their own experiences and their mastery to step above the old acts and reactions, if you will. So they are divinely attuned, which they may be totally oblivious to, but it puts them aside so that they get this mastery and higher work done, and then they'll come back in shining brighter than ever. So there is that divine element. And I need to say that it's not that all of these have left and lost interest. It's just that divinely, once they entered the energetics of what this is, it's a new reality. They need to be prepared to format and fit in to this new reality. And it's done on an energetically divine level as well.
That's one of the things that we speak to with others that are a bit disillusioned by others leaving. Don't be. Those that come and go divinely. The ones that joined early, that needed to see it early, and that had to leave early, so be it. The one that's joined afterwards, that's already calibrated, that's the word. Calibrated is a better way of putting it. Get there. So there is all of this is divine timing. But if we start looking at why and reasons, what did they do? Let it go. Just know. Keep going, brother. Get down through that list of homework, brother.
I'm getting it done. Okay, you know, another thing in our contributors group, and I know all of you here know it, and I'll reiterate it for any that watch this. The contributors group is a working group. Now, there is the global people, there is the contributors lounge, where one's, let's say, if they wish to gather together to support and speak about the spiritual things and to assist each other, there is that contributors lounge, which is there, meaning that if anyone has any issues that come up with them and what have you, the contributors group is the main group, is the working group. And we don't bring any of that other energy into it. And I recently did this and reminded ones, I put a message in there, you know, so, and I know this is not for any of you that I've seen, so don't, we know this, but this is for the others to watch, to let them know that there is a contributors lounge where you can assist and speak about your spiritual and energetic things with that. And, you know, that is also what you can also call it, it's a support group in that contributors lounge where ones come together. So I don't need to go much further on that.
I'll add one more thing to that. I'll add one more thing to that. What I've been doing lately is just deleting new posts. So there are posts that have been posted in the contributors group that have just been deleted. They didn't used to get deleted because there was more acceptance. There's no need to be acceptant of these anymore in my mind, so I'm just removing them. So if people do see their post removed, it should just put it in the lounge. Just keep that one clean. This is what you're talking to, brother. So just
thank you.
Like that.
Thank you, Lee. So I'm just going to make, I got PowerPoints written down, if you will. So with this, and I'll say it, and I know all of you know it, but for the benefit of any, that also in your discussions, it needs to be known that governments are employees of the people, and they need to know that, so you can use that wherever it would fit, that we don't need them as well. We are the people. They're not doing the things for the people. So I just put that out if anyone wants to use that. Having said this, you know, Yolanda, we had, I know one time you had attempted to put the seeds out for a bigger media to carry the message. But I wish to hear from you. But before that, I just wish to say that, you know, what is occurring and what's going to occur is that the alternative medias as well is going to at some point began to spread more of the word of GPMS. So we're seeing, you know, the prominent leaders, how if they are authentic, they have to change their storyline and to come into alignment with GPMS, while the non-authentic ones, you know, their whole movement or what have you will fade. But having said this, the alternative medias will begin more, and there will become perhaps a point, if that's needed, where the mainstream media will be forced to share this worldwide referendum as well, because it is of the people again, and nothing can keep it suppressed. You know, they'll try with their censorship and what have you, but it is not going away. The unity of the people worldwide is the most powerful thing ever, and it cannot be contained. But with that, anything on that Spanish media, Yolanda? Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. There is one person that, and her name is Henna. As I said, she is Finnish, but she has a huge channel, not in Spain. She lives here in Spain, but she actually goes a lot to South America, and also, but mostly of her speeches are done on English. And she has a lot of contact with policemen of the freedom. She's worked a lot with them and everything, but somehow still we have not managed to have an appointment with her, but I know it's going to occur. And it is going to come in fruition. She actually does a lot of work outside, only 20 minutes from where I live, to awaken people and everything. So it's just getting the right time with her, because I know she's been traveling. So she is in our list to recontact again, and to try to be able to sit down and talk to her about GPMS. And fortunately, because all her speeches are in English, also to get a time also with you and me to be able to sit down with her. And so, because you will immediately feel the energetic behind her, and she will definitely feel that influence with you too. So that is my closest object with influencers.
Yeah, thank you for that, Yolanda. And where you brought up the Police for Freedom to share with this group, Femke and I had a physical meeting with the head representative, Dennis Spanstra, I believe, of the Police for Freedom International. He is in the Netherlands there. So Femke and I were fortunate with him and Michaela, his partner, to spend several hours with them in a physical meeting and had lunch together. With that, I wish to call it more of an introduction meeting, because even though it was several hours, we didn't get more into the specifics of GPMS and how the meeting more so conjoined, if you will, or when it was over, Michaela was going to look at the website and to, you know, see more of what GPMS was. So that is also another important meeting as well, which I believe will proliferate in more form as we go forward. And of course, the Police for Freedom, like the Mounties for Freedom in Canada, some military contingents that have no strategy and are not formed yet, around the planet. Once they have the strategy of GPMS and the definite plan and the backing of the people, if it is needed, these police forces and even military will do the rest of the cleanup. What I need to say is there is no organized structure worldwide with any military and any police to any degree. Yes, there are small communities out there, but they do not have the strategy nor the support to go forward. They cannot act in the full interest of the people, for they are also segregated by the countries worldwide. They are not universal. And because they're separated, each country's military and also placed to a degree in opposition to another country's military, it's part of the old structure, and they are not ratified divinely nor by any law upon the planet to come together and act in unison for the people's best interest until the people's majority voice universally worldwide is created, because it's this majority voice that enacts the people's law. And right at this point in time, there is no people's law. This is why all of your sovereign communities and the common law structures and accusations and judgments you're placing against governments have no effect. They just throw it out the window because they are the ones still in power upon the planet. So you're not, it's great to put up the oppositions, you know, however, it is futile to waste the time continuous of passing judgments onto them. And again, we need to take out, we don't need to take out, we just overpower and create the people's law and system that just replaces the old primitive, non-functional de facto governments, or whatever you wish to call them.
I take that one step further, brother, a little bit.
Thank you. Yes, please.
And just take out that it's not that the governments refuse the people's law. It's that the people are trying to put their law into a legal system. The governments run on a legal system. The governments run on a corporate structure where everybody's a corporation. Nothing's alive. It's all dead fictions. And the people are saying, well, we want to put law into it. It's not, they're incompatible. There is no law that's going to go into it. There is no way of putting a law into a dead fiction corporate structure. It's just business to business to business to business. And then you want to put humanity into it? No, it doesn't exist. So until we actually step up and create this whole, you know, and unite, trying to get something else to accept something that doesn't exist in its environment, trying to put life into death, it doesn't work. But that's all I was going to say, brother.
With that, what I wish to say as well, it's also why no other alternative parallel monetary system will work worldwide for the people again, you know, because it's always controlled by that dominant force. So it doesn't tend to go anywhere. And of course, in this most glorious time we're in, it will be also controlled and more attacked. You know, I love to use Bitcoin, the crypto thing, if you will, how it started off perhaps as good intentions for the people, but very quickly it got manipulated, banks into it, and then controlling, you know, the price of it and what have you. That is part of the old. And none of these cryptos, parallel alternative monetary systems will work because of, you know, the financial system that is here and what have you. So most are becoming, if not, they will realize this as well. And again, this is what GPMS is doing. I lost that little bit of train of thought, but I'll have another look here. There was yeah. And with that, what I got wrote down is, we know to emphasize on all of the benefits and gains of GPMS. And again, no government or anything can compare with what it is. So in getting ones to actually look at how it benefits them, their children, their families, their full future. So we know that. And of course, with the gains, what we called with the controlled opposition, fighting governments, we don't get involved in those games because it's all evilly designed to keep that old intact. So we don't even get into any of that, as you know. But what's important also to bring up as a point to these ones that is fighting the old, for every day they fight, children are dying upon the planet. People are starving. You know, it's ridiculous to fight why we just unite. So just throwing a couple little refresher, reiterating points out there, and going through my list quickly so I don't need to ramble on. So with this also, to circumvent the censorship, if you feel your emails are not getting out there, use other
emails. At the beginning, brother. Done that, been that, tick that box. That's already been iterated. We don't need to reiterate it. Keep going.
Yeah, we know this, but you know, also we're recording this, and you know,
beginning of this recording, the censorship of emails is in the beginning of this recording.
Yep, good. Yep, I touched on it. I was thorough enough. Was I?
You were.
Ideas.
Okay. I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That looks great. I got through most of my list. I got to step out for a second and use the washroom.
Okay, guys. Anybody? I know Rick's reiterating a lot of stuff and reiterating a lot of stuff. Is anybody anything else? I'm not going to say you've got homework or sheets and lists or anything like that, but any points to make, any direction, any things we can see, any nuances, any subtleties, anything like this that we can bring up now and work with. Penny. Okay, pin drop. Okay. Anything else anybody would like to bring up anyway outside of that?
Just a quick one, brother. I'm not really, I've been sat here not really having much to contribute directly to the conversations being had, because it's, to me, it's all been revolving around material and practical application and spreading of GPMS. Although it has been touched on a couple of times, I think the more metaphysical and, shall we say, energetic impact of GPMS. And I was wondering if it would be suitable to set up another kind of contributors meeting where it's less focus on the practical things that can be done administration wise for GPMS, and for more discussing of metaphysics, the internal workings of us as individuals, and that impact, how that impact tied in with the practical spread of GPMS can be applied, and how that is, to me, to my mind, at least as important, if not maybe slightly more important than what we can physically do in the material world to spread GPMS.
Right, well, let's take your point. And the answer is yes. But the answer is yes and no, relatively. In the inclusive one, we can't be, let's say, metaphysically niche, but in the lounge we can. And those that wanted to discuss these things in the lounge, and the contributors lounge, that had a group that were able to discuss those things and recorded that way. absolutely perfectly. Yes. So all of that metaphysical, all of that stuff that's maybe outside of the inclusivity of all, we can do there and leave the contributors one open to the more fundamental stuff. So, brother, set one up. Oh, I'll set one up for you. Run a Zoom. I don't mind hosting it. Set one up in the lounge and see who turns up. Or put it in the contributors. Put a link in the contributors to say we are going to be hosting a metaphysical look at GPMS in the contributors lounge with a link, so that people know where the contributors lounge is. And they may go in there then looking for that metaphysical side of it. Start to talk to it in the contributors lounge. Start to create a theme and a narrative and see who comes into it. These sort of things. So yes, that way. Kind of.
It's actually curious, Miguel, that you're talking about this metaphysics, because I was actually commenting to Rick that I had this patient that she is a psychologist and an expert in metaphysics, and she came to me and we really clicked because we were both in the same frequency. And just a few days ago, I had this feeling. I said, I have to contact this woman. I want to contact this woman, you know, because I know we can create something in that metaphysical way, so we can transmute it to other ones. But it was more like in a personal way for me to start doing it on Spanish. So I think it's a beautiful thing, Michael, because really those that we are there already, we know how this functions in that way. And it's a question of being able to transmit it to other ones too. That
yeah, I mean, I was thinking, well, earlier, I think it was Lee that said, yeah, we're putting up neon signs, but the trouble is the vast majority of people can't see in neon. So my first thought after that was, well, as individuals, we need to learn to see neon, and then as contributors on a more metaphysical and philosophical level, shall we say, that should then extend to, well, how do we, with minimum effort or in an effortless way, how do we help others to see in neon, to teach others to see in neon?
We don't assume they must.
Miguel.
Oh, we don't. Yeah. Again, that's a point that again, that's a very subtle and nuanced point.
A lot of this
can be discussed in this kind of meeting,
brother.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is why I'm saying put it in the lounge. This is inclusive. So yeah, we can go to those, but that's kind of, this is fundamental, like you're saying, it's administration material. Put it in the lounge and let them come that want to see it. Those sort of things is all I'm saying. And what I love what Yolanda's saying, I would love to meet an expert in metaphysics.
yeah,
I'm just using that with a smile on my face. These ones that can turn up into those groups, and then we can discuss these things philosophically. The love of wisdom means that we can meander and we can move around. These are more focused, or supposedly to be more focused with more inclusivity. Lots of people could get lost in that meandering, in that philosophia. So let's put them in there and design and let that create. We'll have, you know, fun with both. Great idea. Start to run with it, brother. Start to put some metaphysical stuff out there and see who's interested.
but actually, I think there's much more people than what we could ever think
I agree.
that are aligned to that. And I tell you this because, you know, how many people talk about the secret, you know, the book of the secret, and this, everyone is in one way, you know, they don't know exactly how it functions, but they are really magnet to all these types, and there's much more people than we could ever think. So it could be a beautiful way to launch GPMS too.
But we do lose GPMS focus in, and there will be, it's an inevitability once you start running down metaphysics, that there's an inevitability that we could go off on a tangent for half an hour quite easily and then come back. It's not that we lose GPMS focus, it's all around that. It's just that it's more for catering for a more open concept. So put it in the lounge, let's run with that, and then we can bring them together later.
Miguel, did we not try that with the light corner? With the perspectives?
No, I'm thinking of something completely different in terms of format.
Yes, not so. This isn't about educating people. This is a pure philosophia. This is about more running with a theme and then seeing whether people can come with it and where they're going with it. So like Yolanda said, if you've got an expert in metaphysics, bring them in and watch what happens.
Well, I wanted to sit down and have a cup of coffee to her and see what way it could help me to actually launch GPMS and all that. So, and I didn't have the opportunity to talk about GPMS with her. It was all pure metaphysics, you know. So I have the gut there, and I don't question it. I'm just going to go with the feeling that what I have to do.
Metaphysics, a lot of this stuff, and the truth about a lot of this stuff, as a lot of us know by now, changes. When new perceptions and new insights and new levels of consciousness are reached, it's constantly evolving. So these ideas and these concepts are fun, but this is a fundamental, if you like. This is reality, and that's what's behind reality. Brother, you had up.
I love and support this idea 1,000,000,000%. What I'm also looking at, yes, you know, it is educational with the individual that's in alignment with GPMS, because, you know, what we are emphasizing also with GPMS is the co-creator potential. And yeah, I love the whole idea of it, but it's also what it's doing, as you're saying, it's connecting more of that metaphysical, esoteric, theosophical. It's putting it all in to also accreditate and validate more of the GPMS concept in the least. So by also having this interest coming in this way with the metaphysical, yes, it's connecting and combining and strengthening. I just love it totally. I'll slip up.
Let's see. I'm going to say, Michael, we will see. I'll leave you run with a little bit of what you're going to do, brother. Think about it. And Yolanda, yeah, if you want to unite with this and start something and run with it and then see what transpires, be great. And we got 1 billion% backing by Rick. Anything else, guys? We've been 2.5 hours nearly. I think it's probably somewhere near close for this one. That pin is silent today. I love it. So if there is no more input, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I don't know about the rest of you. Back and
I'm sure that somebody that touched GPMS program and then they deny first and then they come back very soon. I'm sure that, yeah. Because also when my team announced the news and send the clip, they say no, some of that deny us, and then I'm sure 100% that will come back very soon.
Yeah, beautiful, Judarat, beautiful. And beautiful, everybody else. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and love and light to you all, and love to everyone. Thank you.
Love to all of you. Thank you.
Love and light, much gratitude to us all, and woohoo! And we'll have I guess another one, and let's do it in about 2 weeks, Brother Lee, if that resonates. And I believe around the same time will be great, unless something else occurs before now in 2 weeks. So
we'll try and run a few every 2 weeks and see what goes on at the same time, and that way we can create a consistency and people can get used to it a little bit. So certainly for the next, I don't know, 4 or 8, bang, 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 and then we'll see what happens, if that suits.
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Unity and victory,
Bye.
love, light, kisses, and wink.
Victory.
Thank you.